Hey guys, it's Katie Kate on the Homestead. Today, let's talk about Canada. I am taking as much of a rest day as I ever take around here, which means I did my chores and I did some online training and I've been puttering around the house, just tidying up, but I haven't really been outside. Here's the weather forecast, and as you can see, we are expecting warmer weather coming, and maybe that's affecting my motivation to get out there right now. If I thought it was going to be freezing for weeks and weeks on end, I would probably be more motivated to get out there, but it's going to get warmer. I do have to repot my cannabis plants today, and I will try to shoot a separate video on that. But right now, sitting by the fire, I thought I would digress into uncharted territories and talk about Canada, where I live. I normally stay away from politics, but perhaps that is partially because they've always been relatively harmless here in Canada. I'm old enough that I can remember traveling abroad and having a huge Canadian flag on my backpack to identify myself as Canadian. I was very proud of it. Canadians were seen as very polite and good-willed and kind. What is happening up here is very troubling. What strikes me lately is you can see from looking at me that I have always been a bit of a left of center person, very liberal and what I considered open-minded. The left has gone absolutely crazy up here in Canada to the point where it is becoming intolerant. Nobody's allowed to question anything for fear of being labeled phobic of something or another. I think it's really unfair that we're not allowed to ask critical questions, and I don't think that phobia is an accurate description of a critical thinker. A phobia is someone who is irrationally afraid of something, and I think that most of us questioning some of the theology that's happening up here aren't phobic of any person or any ideology, but rather we have questions. COVID was a really complicated time socially. There was a lot of information incoming and everybody was very isolated. And in my world, it all kind of culminated with the trucker rally that happened in Ottawa. At the time, I wasn't really a big supporter of the protest because I didn't necessarily think it was the right way to handle it. But once I saw the government's response, I was equally, if not more, appalled by that end of the situation. Our leaders refused to speak to people. They used media for propaganda. They called the protesters white supremacists. And then, of course, as everybody knows, pulled this now, as we know, illegal Emergency Response Act, shut down people's bank accounts, took away their freedoms. It was terrifying. Obviously, I was making the decision to get out of town and just try to set up something for myself that I could enjoy. And since I left the city, it's gotten worse and worse and worse. I probably spend too much time on YouTube watching reports of things, but I can't help but stay in tune because I'm so concerned. Maybe it's because I have kids. The fact that I now feel that my opinions are right-wing and conservative is absolutely mind-blowing to me. When for 50 years, I have been a leftist. But now I think it's all gone mad. And left-wing politics are very intolerant. You will be canceled and hated and berated by the same people who allied with you years ago for social rights. Our Prime Minister is an absolute tyrant, and it is scary what he's doing with the power that he has. And I can only hope that in the next election, we will find ourselves with better leadership. I'm looking at America and what's happening there, and honestly, Trump being president was a nightmare to me. It terrified me. And when Biden was elected, I celebrated with an American flag dancing naked on my balcony. But now I'm seeing that the American people want Trump back. And I can't ignore that. I think the whole world's gone mad. And I don't know what kind of leadership is going to help people to contend with these conditions that we're dealing with. But up here in Canada, it's really scary. Our government really leans on marginalized groups and redirects all topics of conversation to rally those groups. If he's asked a question about pharmacare, he replies about trans kids and their rates of suicide. If he's asked about building more housing for our increasingly difficult living situation in Canada, he talks about Ukraine and how we're helping refugees. And he's the only government who will do that. He's refusing to speak to reporters in any cohesive, comprehensive way, evading questions and giving nobody any real answers. It's real troubling. I used to be very proud to be Canadian. I saw someone on YouTube the other day saying that they posted a comment on somebody's video with just a Canadian flag, and they were banned from their account. We are no longer international sweethearts. We're a lovely democratic society being crushed. Our election is next year, so let's hope for change. The extreme left is taking away everybody's rights and empowering people who do not have the capacity to make the decisions that they are being allowed to make. Whether that's a person with mental illness who wants to choose assisted suicide that is now legal here, or a 15-year-old child who wants puberty blockers because they're confused about their identity. Add to that, they're now saying parents don't have rights. We have responsibilities, but we don't have parental rights. Seizing funds, seizing bank accounts, taking away people's freedom, threatening their ability to provide for their families, their safety and security. It's terrifying. I might be out of the banking system by not having a mortgage, but at this point, we don't own anything up here. They can come take whatever they want whenever they want. Well, there's a political story time, which is not my specialty, but it's been on my mind. This was a bit of a stream of consciousness. I hope I covered everything that I wanted to say. Let me know in your comments. If you're Canadian, where are you at with all this? If you're not Canadian, how are you seeing all of this? Are you worried about us? Because I am. All right, guys, rant over. I'm going to get back to puttering around the house and enjoying the rest of the day. Until next time, I'm Katie Kate on the Homestead, up here in the north, in Canada, and I'll see you later.